was the first night of Pesach, and outside was raging a terrible storm, but inside it was calm and peaceful. And the Reb Baruch of Mezebush, was standing there with his Chassidim. He said the brachas, he lit the first candle, placed the shamash in its place, and they all stood there looking at this beautiful candle, calm and peaceful. And they started to sing the songs, Haneres Halalu, etc. And all of a sudden they noticed this candle just start flickering wildly, just going crazy as though it was dancing or struggling. And they didn't know what was going on. But the Rebbe said, don't worry. He advised them to keep singing. And all of a sudden they noticed that the candle just disappeared. It didn't go out because there was no smoke. It just disappeared. So they all looked at the Rebbe, and the Rebbe was just in deep thought. And so his attendant went over to relight the candle, and the Rebbe said, no, don't do it. And he advised them to keep singing. So they did. They kept singing, and interspersed between the singing, the Rebbe would say some Torah thoughts, and this went on through the night. Once it got very late into the night, what stopped all their singing and dancing was the screeching of some wagon wheels outside. They all stopped, and this man burst through the doors, blood on his face, clothes torn, tattered, dirty, and they just stared at him. And the man went to the table, and they said, what happened? He said, look, usually I come every year and have no issue getting through the forest. But this year I saw there was going to be a terrible storm. Instead of waiting it out and seeing what happens, I thought I couldn't not be here. So I tried to make it through, and I left early, and I tried to make it through. And late into the night, I ran into a group of bandits, and they seized the reins of my wagon, and they figured that a person traveling with such a big wagon late into the night during such a terrible storm, he must be a businessman, and he must have a lot of money. That's why his business couldn't wait. So they kept questioning me, and they took me to go see their leader, but they're questioning me, where's the money? I told them I'm just going to see the Rebbe, it's Hanukkah, and they wouldn't believe me. So we got to where their leader is, and while we were waiting, they were continuing their interrogation, and they were beating me, and it was terrible. And after a couple hours of this torture, they threw me into this dark cellar, and I just waited there until their leader came, bleeding out onto the ground and everything. And their leader came, and I told him about where I'm going to see my Rebbe. I tried to explain the joy of going to see a Rebbe, and either that, convinced him, or maybe my resolve, that my truthful telling that I had no money with me, maybe that convinced him. But either way, he said he would let me go. He said they'd give me a horse, and they'd see how I fare. The leader told me that most people don't venture out into the night, especially through the forest with all the animals, because they would never make it. And especially during such a terrible storm. He said there's pretty much no chance that I make it. And he said, regardless, he's going to let me go, because rather let the animals have something to eat. And he said, but if you do make it out of the forest, and even more so, if you do make it to the edge of the town where you say you're going, then leave a handkerchief at the signpost right there at the road, and one of my men will pick it up. And I promise you, if you can make it out alive, I'll break up my band of bandits, and I'll change my ways. So the man, a little bit terrified, started to think about his Rebbe. He knew everything would be okay. And they put him on the horse, and the horse started going. And after a while of traveling in the pitch blackness, hearing all the animals around, all the wolves, the horse refused to move. And he crouched over, he tried to hit the horse to get it to move, but it wouldn't budge. It was almost as it was shocked. And he could hear the growling of the animals around him, and he knew this was not good. When all of a sudden he saw a little flicker in front of him, and the horse took a step. And as the horse advanced, so did this little light, this little flame, advance as well. And so it went. The flame advanced, the horse advanced, and it went like this. until next thing you know, the man was out. And it's as though that this flame that was dancing before them was scaring away all the animals, because soon enough all the sounds disappeared. And next thing you know, this man arrived at the house of his Rebbe. And he got off and he crawled out and he burst through the doors, and there he is. And as he finished telling his story, all the Chassidim looked, and sure enough, there was that little flame dancing again back on the intricate menorah of the Rebbe. So this is the story of the flame that disappeared.